The marriage you've been taught is a lie. Marriage is honorable. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. What does this mean? It's very simple. Let marriage be held in honor. That is, it should be esteemed worthy, precious, of great price, and especially dear in all things. This is what we don't see in most Christian marriages today. The foundation of marriage has been disregarded and dishonored. I had to check the dictionary again to be sure I really understood the meaning of the word honor. One of the synonyms I came across was glory. So, this means marriage should be held in glory because of who and what it represents. In fact, the original word used here for honorable is the Greek word timios, and one of its definitions is costly, of a great price. It's even getting deeper than we imagined. Marriage isn't a fairy tale. It isn't what your favorite TV show has portrayed it to be. It's totally different from all you've been taught. You may have seen it as a union for fun, satisfaction, sexual, financial, material satisfaction, status, etc. You may have thought, oh, when I get married, I'll have sex with my spouse 4 times every day. Or, I want to marry a rich man or a rich woman so that we'd tour the universe together, and my parents would be comfortable. Not so. That's a perverted reason to go into marriage. Marriage is a temple where the Spirit of God dwells to find expression, to show how two, the Father and the Son, can become one Spirit. So, when you get into marriage, get ready to host the Spirit that established it. The Scripture says, "Let the marriage bed be kept undefiled." That bed, which should be kept undefiled, is the temple that hosts the Spirit that runs your marriage. In Hebrews chapter 13, verses 4 and 5, there were 3 things mentioned in relation to the marriage bed: fornication, adultery, and money. These are the 3 things that can defile a marriage bed. Now we're gradually getting to marriage and service, because Jesus said, "You cannot serve 2 masters. You either love one and hate the other. You cannot serve both God and money." So, bringing money into the marriage bed can defile it because of the spirit of money, mammon. Mammon seeks to get hold of a marriage and rests on it to defile the bed. Have you noticed that most marriages break as a result of money? Money, whether the lack of it or the abundance of it, can destroy your marriage. The bed which you lay on to sleep consists of your bed frame and your mattress. That bed frame is the foundation on which you lay your mattress, and then you rest on it. I know you've always thought that the marriage bed is the bed in your room where you consummate your marriage with your spouse. I also thought the same, but that's not the marriage bed. It's commonly called the matrimonial bed, but that's not scriptural. If it's a matrimonial bed, it means that there should be a matrimonial shrine in every family, where the matrimonial bed is kept, and only matrimonial duties should be carried out there. In fact, children should not be allowed to come close if it were so. But no, it isn't. So, you think God is talking about committing adultery on your wooden bed? The bed which I speak of is not your king-size bed made by your favorite interior designer. No, that's not what God is talking about. I'll show you. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Mark chapter 10, verse 9. Do you know what this means? It's simply saying that what God has built, let no one destroy. The marriage bed is the bedrock upon which marriage is formed. It's the fundamental principle upon which it was built. The marriage bed is the original purpose of marriage, the foundations upon which marriage was formed and established. Marriage is eternal. This is why God takes it personal. Did you notice in the New Testament there are two groups of people God will personally judge? Those that defile his temple, he said he will destroy, in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17. And those who defile the marriage bed, he will judge. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Why? Because marriage is the foundation of his temple. It's the foundation of human existence, and if anyone defiles these principles, God will judge. If a marriage is built according to how it was built by God, then he comes and rests on it. These days, people even get into marriage for a political status, for pleasure, to obtain citizenship, for financial status. These were not his original intentions for marriage. These are some ways that we defile the marriage bed. All these were gotten from the Babylonian systems of old. So, we are expected to avoid anything that downplays the fundamentals of marriage. Society has defiled the marriage bed in so many ways, and believers, also in some way, have downplayed the sacredness of marriage by defiling the marriage bed, approving of and accepting worldly ideas into marriage. You don't get into marriage under pressure. Pressure from peers, pressure from family, from social media, society, circumstances. When you go into marriage, you're getting into something very ancient and spiritual. There are laws that govern marriage, and you must submit to those laws if you really want to enjoy the blessings of the one who gave those laws. Some of the laws include: wives, do not separate from your husbands, and husbands, do not put away your wives. Another is, let the marriage bed be kept undefiled. So, you're to avoid anything that downplays the fundamentals of marriage. Count the cost. Jesus says in Luke chapter 14, verse 28, when you want to build. Marriage is a very costly enterprise to venture into. Before you get into it, you must count the cost. It's a building of the Lord. It's His temple. It's His theater. That's why we, His church, His bride, are His temple. Except the Lord builds that marriage, he who builds, builds in vain. It's a lifelong commitment. If you draw back, His soul shall not be pleased with you. It's not trial and error. When you're in, and there's no coming out. However, there's only one way out, which I'll talk about in a future post. Moreover, in a temple, there are sacrifices, and marriage is full of those. It's full of sacrifices. Therefore, you have to count the cost before you go into it. It is costly. It is honorable, and its bed should be kept undefiled. To be kept simply means to be left untouched. It should be kept holy, as He is holy. The marriage bed is not to be defiled by evil thoughts against your spouse, which manifest in the form of verbal abuse, physical abuse, extortion, lies, manipulation, murders, slandering your spouse's character, stealing from your spouse, lusts, adulteries, etc. All these things come from the heart and defile the marriage bed. Matthew chapter 15, verses 16 through 20. To guard our hearts with all diligence is to guard your marriage bed with all diligence, thereby keeping it undefiled.